Good evening. Welcome to WAFC Rewind Round 3. Tonight we're taking you back to the 2018 U20 Boys Finals matchup between DC Foggy Bottom Boys and Seattle Supreme. We're pleased to welcome a range of commentators who are joining us from all over the country. Joining us from DC, we have head coach Clem for the DC Foggy Bottom Boys. Joining us all the way from Hawaii, we have Ben Priest. Garrett Johnson is joining us from New Hampshire, and all the way from Seattle for the Seattle Supreme, we have Connor Ryan. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll have you introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I'm Clem. I think Strat pretty much covered everything that's important about me, so we'll move on to Ben.
I'm Ben. I go to Carleton College. I play there. Played for Foggy for like 3 years and Dead Rise before that.
I'm Garrett. I'm Garrett. I'm a second year at Dartmouth College. Same as Ben, played on Foggy for 3 years and then Dead Rise before that.
And I'm Connor. I played on Seattle Supreme and a couple other years of YCC and then Worlds U20 afterwards. And I go to Hampshire College and I've been trying to play for UMass.
Wow, here we go.
This final matchup in the U20 boys division. Two exciting teams.
Timmy P with the ritual. I love that.
Yeah, dude.
With a great reputation.
Pulling upwind like a champ.
And we are underway in this one. Foggy Bottom in white, pulling to this Northwest in black. And
pretty sure we just get like toasted this first point.
Yeah, I think it was pretty quick.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't think any of the zone points were really super effective in this particular game because the wind pretty much stopped from the weekend.
That's it.
Downwind.
There it is.
Yeah, the downwind was the fight.
Discussion about whether or not it was jumped in.
Oh, they said he jumped. Get back.
Will Turner.
I'm going to say it's out of the end zone, so back to work, looking for the reset.
This kid on UMass, Jake, he can never jump before the end. He always lands before the end zone. It's like a historic thing that he can't do. He doesn't understand the jump and then catch.
August wants to know how scared we were when we saw the Supreme arm sleeve. Pretty scared.
Yeah, I mean, respect.
One of the favorites.
That's clout.
So the pull goes up and now.
But also leave it to August to ask a question like that.
Oh yeah. Coming out strong with the first question.
Supreme. Handler still working it.
I can't really tell what we were doing here on offense. Like our set play got stopped, and then we were just kind of rattled.
Yeah.
First point.
Connor, do you recall if you guys were running chaos early on in that game? I think that's what
I don't remember. I think we had like a kind of like a wave, just zone defense, but I can't remember what like this year's iteration of that, because it was just always there was something to that extent, and then like some like man calls and yeah. I don't really remember this year's.
Yeah, Tony almost got takeover to start this game. That man had like 3 goals in the first 4 points.
Yes, he did. That's true.
Supreme team known for their ability to play lockdown team, but Supreme.
Yeah, Tony's one of the kids at UW. Cameron is too.
From Cameron Baker,
who just pulled.
Theo wants to know how many calories you consumed during this game.
Oh, the stress eating was real. Half the time I was holding the bag though because I didn't have time with writing everything on that stat sheet. But I did panic because actually right now I don't have it in my hands, and I think around 3-1.
Oh, Connor, you were close there, dude.
There was so many of these. I almost turned around and ran down another one, but I was just inches away each time.
That was a rough one.
And now Veneri's got it with a chance for Supreme to add another break. Deep shot goes up.
The first of many downwind Huck overthrows.
Oh my God, there was like 8 of them.
Beyond it, Baker with the shot, Lenz not able to keep it in bounds.
Yeah, Peter almost got there.
A little lucky there.
If it was a towable throw, Peter would have had it.
Even with Seattle playing tough D, let's see if they can get in their groove again. A lot of these.
But yeah, Ben, I didn't actually pick up the granola in this game until about 3-1 Seattle, I think is what it was.
I just remember they went up big early, and I was like, oh, so it's just going to be the first matchup over again.
Where they fell to Grady, and now a deep shot going up, looking for Jock.
Yeah.
Bro, AJ's flick was dialed in.
The leader of Woodrow Wilson puts it into the
Jordo.
end zone for a score.
It's a great pass by Jock.
Great grab.
Yeah.
It's like right as Jordy turned his hips.
But the receiver had an incredible grab and a good read. You see Foggy Bottom wanting to initiate from that.
Does June go to school anywhere, Connor?
Space with their initial cuts.
I think June might be at UW too. I haven't talked to June in a while. The last I remember, he was
today and yesterday have been pretty still.
He was going to UW.
The weather on Saturday was windy and rainy, so the teams have had some reps playing in those conditions, and this game could turn into upwind down.
We come down in this defense like every single point. Except that one zone point, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we see the Foggy Bottom boys turning to a zone defense.
So it's interesting. Up front, they're sagging the lanes a lot. Downfield, they were starting off man. Looks like they've locked now.
Yeah, I think we came down and sag against like every single team, almost every single point.
Yeah, we were. Well, I mean, it worked really, really well against Atlanta in the semis because we realized when we set plays that they had been running. And so we just kept throwing poaches in the lanes on every single pull just to prevent that.
Shout out Joey Kennedy from Illinois Ultimate for that scouting report.
And hangs up, blocked away by McKnight.
I just overthrew that to Tony upwind, I think, and it just like got eaten by the wind.
That way today, catch and give the defense a chance to make a play.
McKnight always looks so mad.
He does look a little grumpy there.
But Tony's mark is A1 here.
Tony just bounces around so well.
Yeah, dude. That's 2 goals and an assist for Tony.
Yeah.
Seattle hold 3-1.
That's a smart mark by Seattle. You saw them looking deep to start. McKnight really had no shot to put up a good throw downfield.
This is where you started the stress eating, Clem?
I realized I wasn't holding it, and because I had become superstitious about my bag of granola, I sprinted over to the tent, and the parents thought something was like horribly wrong. Like I think 3 parents, I was like, "What's wrong, Clem?" And they all started like sprinting around the tents trying to help me find whatever I was looking for, but none of them knew I was just looking for a bag of granola.
Getting ready to go up.
Connor, were there multiple Supreme arm sleeves, or was it just Kai DeVershila?
I think it was just. Well, I think only Kai wore it for like any period of time. I for some reason I can picture Gabe wearing it. Not
Deep throw going up.
Not Gabe Port, Gabe Nobis. I think he had one too, but maybe I'm just making that up.
That
was a really good throw by AJ.
Yeah.
That's 2 really good flick hooks from him.
Started moving upfield, and a really good shot considering the breeze coming at the face.
I think one of the most unique things about playing on this team as like a handler was that I don't think I ever really threw hucks. It was almost always like our downfield guys throwing deep to downfield guys.
True, we were pretty cutter to cutter.
Yeah.
That's nice to have.
Yeah.
It was. It made things a lot easier sometimes. Knowing that our handlers had those hucks, but that our cutters could flow with hucks as well.
I was offsides there.
Here in Blaine, Minnesota. Talent of these youth teams.
Yeah, it was good with the observer.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, so the observers call those offsides. It's just up to whoever the O line is to acknowledge.
Trying to muscle it up. Okay, keep it in the field of play.
That's the commentator jinx. We talk about how smart and good their throws are and a turnover.
So Connor, what was y'all's mentality coming into this game after having beat us 13-9 in the first round?
I think it was, we know what, if the conditions are the same, what will work. And I think we just, we came in with the right mentality of we need to do it again. We can't play like there's any reason that we shouldn't be playing just all out all the time. And I think we just really were dwindling in the actual energy to get that into a reality. There was kind of a peak of it, and then we just couldn't maintain it or get it back up there.
Yeah, it seemed like y'all chilled out a little bit after the first couple points.
Yeah.
Yo, Theo got
there
out
was
there. I thought that was an overthrow.
The intensity just went down.
And crossfield throw, looking for Shapinski in the end zone. Tracks it down. Foggy Bottom breaks to
Fabio.
Great D-line O from Foggy Bottom there. Once they got him moving, they really
Theo asked, why do you throw this, man? Dude, you were open. I threw you into space.
That's a bucket.
I mean, you can go get it.
An awkward grab or attempt at a grab. Really beautiful looping backhand to the foreside for a Foggy Bottom score.
I love the throw that went ahead to attack to the break side early in the stall. As soon as he got the disc, when Mark wasn't ready to take.
I mean, I guess. I don't know, dude. Your defender just wasn't looking at all. And I knew it would drop quick because it was downwind. So I just let you go get it.
Ooh, another one of the overthrows.
Yeah. It looked good, though. That bid was nice.
Yeah.
That guy was a monster for y'all.
He was, dude. I remember in the first game, y'all threw something, and I was totally there as the deep. And instead of catching it, I was let me weirdly smack this. And he just had the craziest grab for a goal. I was so upset. That's when we lost that game, 100%. I was
yeah.
Let's see if McKnight can get this moving. We've seen Foggy Bottom.
Yeah, when we saw him at high school nationals the next year, I was like, oh God, we don't have anyone who can cover him downfield. And then he handled the entire game, and it made my life a lot easier.
Oh, man. Rough. A lot of unforced drops by both teams.
Totally. And just throwaways.
Good D, though. Front by Owen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Aaron's about to, I think.
I'm trying to think if it was before, if it was the night before or if it was after semis that Owen actually came up to the coaches and asked us if he could switch over to D-line. And I got to say that paid off in a big way in the semis and the finals.
It kind of killed it. He's just kind of one of those guys who play solid defense and then would just explode on a jump ball for a goal. Just huge momentum swing.
4 semis too.
Where is everyone?
Takes the swing to Johnston.
Here's my downwind huck turn.
Looking deep. This is going to be a long one and too far.
That's the same huck that has been thrown downwind and turned.
Yeah, can we get a tally?
Yeah.
That 3?
That's 3.
Deep looks, just not quite connecting. Really good cuts. Lots of energy from these guys right now. Maybe a little too much.
fifth Huck turnover of the game.
This was a crazy decision. I don't know why he did that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Players beneath it
There was a lot of these
and
though.
swatted away.
Yeah.
Rice going up for the block like Ben Wallace in the paint.
Field general.
Debated.
Yeesh. Thank you, Garrett.
In the backfield, saved by Johnston. Offense not
We're just kind of scrambling on offense here.
But the handlers
Yeah.
do a good job to keep possession alive.
It takes
Yeah,
us
after
a
that
good.
initial flow, we kind of fell out of it and just kind of ran for whatever we could get.
Yeah.
Long shot. And the cutter falls
I
out.
have-
Second cutter in the area.
Oh, that's the Jacques face plant. There
Yeah,
it
dude.
was.
Harry pulling up his pants.
He's so out of breath here. You can tell that it just like got knocked out, and he's just like, oh, that was huge.
The one time we were okay with Harry running deep.
Yeah.
Just flying in.
I contend this would have been a dime.
Shot goes up from Price. You can see Wilson with the hustle play and lays out and keeps it alive.
That looks
Like,
so
can
painful.
we look at the separation on that, Fred? Just see how many steps Jock had.
That's the kind of extra
can
effort play and
I
definitively
tripped,
see
swear to
whether it's a
God.
dime or not.
needed by whoever wins this game. You're gonna look back and that
So
might have been-
August just asked if McKnight was always the center handler on O. Garrett, did that start in the semis, or did you guys talk about that prior to the first poll of this game? Because I know
We had a meeting the night before.
Oh, I don't
Right?
remember that actually.
You remember that hotel conference room? The O-line meeting?
No.
Okay,
I
never
remember you
mind.
guys did have one of those. I wasn't involved in it.
Tell your side, Garrett.
So I think I was centered up to you on the first 2 points, and then I had that drop, and I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, McKnight's going to have a good game.
Garrett.
Which
Yeah, my bad.
Boom. Oh, Owen. That was huge.
Yeah, that's another one of my turns that resulted in an actual point. Oof.
Like we've seen upwind, the hug hangs a little bit.
That was
Huge
such a
throw from
beautiful
McKnight,
hug.
Playing his 7th or 8th point in a row. Huge.
Yeah, so August, to finally answer your question, that transition happened during this game early on.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was a really good decision, right? McKnight has a really, really good game, but I don't know if I think he needs those touches as center to get in the groove to have as good a game.
Yeah.
Also, he was like coming off the best game of his life, probably, against
Yeah.
Atlanta. Like, that was
Super hot.
insane.
Port takes the centering pass. Little flood play to open up space for Veneri, but a lane poach keeps that ISO from connecting. Foggy Bottom sticking with the strategy of trying to put an extra body in the lane when available. Try and clog up the
Connor,
offense.
did the Seattle coaches ever put like you or June or Adam behind the disc at all?
Jasper Keane
No.
up ahead to Drew
I-
Russo.
To some extent, I think we all played just a little bit more like
Taking a shot, it blades over.
just exactly what our roles were specifically for just Worlds.
That's such a tough
Mhm.
And I think that pretty much just resulted in how we all played, or like where we all played. Like there was no like special catering to as far as changing our position on the team to be like more central.
True. I guess I was just thinking, because y'all are like, at least at the time that we played, y'all seemed to be like a pretty, at least the top half of your team is pretty cutter heavy. Like you, June, Adam, Kai are all like really nasty players, whereas I don't know, it seemed like you had some handler struggles, at least in this game.
Well, I think most of the time our handlers worked really well, like just like amongst themselves to like get the disc flowing, and when
Mhm.
you stopped that and when the conditions weren't good for them to really be playing something that allowed handler flow, it was a lot more difficult. Like, and then also just mistakes happened in the handler set that were just like kind of tragic.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like nobody's like it wasn't really anything besides just a miscue.
That's true. Ty brings up a good point that part of the reason those changes worked like pretty well and we're able to make them was Garrett and Matt had like been playing as the primary handlers in the system for like 2 or 3 years already together.
Well, and they just had a whole high school season where they moved the disc with 80% of the throws for our team.
It might have been higher, dude.
Yeah, well, I was thinking the other 20 might have been turnovers, so.
True.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it just felt really normal. And like there wasn't anything to say about it. It was like, I'm going to catch it and send it up to you.
Ty says 90%.
F number. No, wait, this one works.
Caught under pressure.
That was such
Spike.
a fierce spike.
Cameron got heated there. He was getting so mad. I actually remember talking to him on the sideline, and I totally forget what it was. Something he had been like on the verge of just like yelling while he was running. Like he was just very heated.
Oh, I remember your coaches got mad at us because apparently we called offsides too late here, and you were like, "You made them run a 70," and I was like, "Okay, like sorry."
Yeah, I got talked to about that one.
God, I don't ever remember that. Like, I don't think there were any complaints on the line.
Y'all are so worn down now. Just part of our plan.
Just have us run the length of the field as many times as possible. Yes. Yeah, you know what? I think that's definitely why you guys won on Universe, right?
Yeah,
It
dude,
was
that
this extra 70.
Those inches, dude. I will say the commentator spent the entire game expecting like us to just be really, really tired. Like that was like half of their Foggy talk was, I'm sure they're so tired right now. Because like McKnight just played every point and we stuck with like a couple guys a lot. That was a really nice throw by Harry.
Rosenthal, and some nice flow so far from the Foggy Bottom boys who look comfortable, and then a big layout grab to conclude that point. Merriman getting horizontal for a high impact score.
Jacques says he was gassed the whole game, so maybe they were on to something.
There were a few points where we got broken, and I was like, I just put my hands on my knees.
I was really tired like near the end for sure. Once we got down to crunch time and we're just throwing out like 8 or 9 people over and over.
Yeah. Felt like it was pretty hot for Minnesota too. I don't know if I'm just making that up.
I mean, it's definitely hot, but I feel like YCC's is always sneaky hot. That's 4. That was a noble effort, Connor.
It was just so far. The wind was not making that any easier.
No one even close. Thought better of it, and Force should just eat the turnover.
Once again, we see a really high energy Huck going out the back.
Yeah, Ty, there's a ton of times where I'll throw an upfield pass and then just start walking, for sure.
I really thought Owen was going to get there on that one.
There was a couple of those just immediate hucks, both.
Yeah,
I will at least I know that I can think of a couple of times that we did it, but it was just like we just got the turn and then we just throw it away, and I was like, come on.
Nikki V with a veteran timeout.
Yeah, he was agreeing that it also felt hot that weekend. especially this day.
It was kind of hot, for sure.
That red zone timeout with a chance to break. You go to the
Yeah, I don't know about that timeout. AJ's got an open up line.
Yeah, that was weird by Tony, his positioning. Because he just like kind of,
where was he?
he just like kind of sits even with him, and AJ is like has at least half a foot on him, and boom.
It doesn't matter.
I think he was trying. I mean, he either just totally lost position, or it was just trying to bait that. He does bait that under, like
Yeah.
he's so quick, so he had just cut off that under, and you see him take this little jab step to try and get in. Is just
Yeah.
He's outlengthed by a lot.
He was sleeping on AJ, dude. It's
He
different,
was.
baby.
Them long limbs.
Foggy Bottom boys looking to upset the high-powered Seattle team. Port takes the centering pass. A lot of help defense and switching opens up some free unders for.
It kind of seems like over the course of the game we're coming down and sag less and less on D points.
Of the receiver.
I do remember a couple times we called, or we were like about to go man and somebody on the line, or about to go sag and somebody on the line. It might have been me a couple times, but other times like we were just like, no, let's go man. Like, let's keep it honest so they don't get any like weird, easy holes. There you are, Connor. So close.
That's like I just couldn't make it happen.
Nissen trying to throw to space. Gets it to Price.
Adam was mad.
Takes another timeout, so I guess Foggy Bottom felt like taking a timeout.
Yeah, Adam was really. You and Adam, I think, is the best like rivalry of at least this game was pretty intense too.
True, he takes me house in the second half at some point. Oh, I guess we cut out that goal. Nikki B with the assist to me.
Just had a wealth of games put in from this tournament as well as the World Ultimate Club Championships a couple weeks ago. But this second half is back underway, so we'll turn our attention to Matthew McKnight, Jock Nissen, and the Foggy Bottom boys offense.
How many times do we run Shy Guy?
Seattle coming out.
Every time, dude. It just didn't not work.
Looks like they've got a really good line out here.
Wolfson,
God.
high stalk.
That was a little crazy.
June's mark is like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Just a punt for field position. Wolfson had nowhere to go.
Once again, we see a huck to that end zone.
Theo says he remembers us having a big underdog mentality this game, which I think is true because we had like already lost and like we could just kind of project the like, oh, it's Seattle. Seattle always wins. Like, oh, you know.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm pretty much saying too. Like they basically made it sound like we had no chance for the majority of this game.
That's true. I felt like we could beat y'all after the first game if the conditions were right. I definitely thought you guys had the advantage if it was like a very windy game, but if it was a little more open, I felt pretty good about our chances, or at least like I felt we had a chance.
I don't think that we were thinking you were the underdog at all. Like, I don't think that was ever an actual like mindset that we fell into. I think the first game was pretty much acknowledged as that was kind of up to the conditions in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
And just some
I'm
bad
so lazy
representation.
here. I was so lazy. Oh my gosh.
This is actually a pretty pivotal point. I think like that drop, or like if I catch that, or Harry doesn't send it as fast as he does, because I think he was pretty high stall. But like then the score's 9-6. It was a little behind, like pretty fast, but like then the score is probably 9-6 instead of 8-7. You know.
True.
Yeah.
I remember I tried to dap up Adam after this point, and he just like kick spikes it and is like fuming. Like,
he's turned into he had vets.
oh yeah, I got the high five eventually. I was just a little scared.
You were intimidated.
Popular target for the disc as he takes the centering throw.
I was pretty frustrated by you on defense, Connor. Like I was still getting catches, but you were not making anything easy.
Well, that was kind of the problem, though, isn't it? Is when you can't close the deal.
Going to make it back in bounds. It curls back at the last second, but
Theo says there were no 3-goal leads the entire game. It was very back and forth.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
How many lead changes were there? Like 4, 5?
Moving the disc really fast for that deep shot.
I think this is 3 now.
Because I mean, I know there were 2 late, and then I think there were 3 in the first half.
That's wild.
Maneri puts a backhand to space. Has a
That's
man
5.
separation, but
5,
not enough
baby.
field for Veneri's backhand.
So that one wasn't even overthrown. It was just out of bounds.
Yep.
Veneri not quite enough edge.
That's like the max speed McKnight reached for most of this game.
McKnight going to pick up.
Veneri with 3 assists.
And I mean that in a good way.
Turnover.
You see both of these teams really liking the away. It's going to be interesting to see if there's one team that really locks in on still looking deep, but is able to really get a lot of yards through unders. As we see McKnight tap it in.
Yeah, Harry.
Upline initiation for Wolfson. But again, he's stuck with nowhere.
That was a pretty crazy look. If
I
I don't touch that, though, Ron gets it.
Yeah. That Seattle defense continues to lock down when necessary. Veneri rocketing a
that insta turn, though. He should have had this one. I remember.
Oh,
Oof.
right.
And some
I was trying to get there, too.
That guy doesn't seem to be a super bouncy player, though.
Teams trading turnovers.
Not coming at anybody, but he was kind of falling down.
Who was that? Was that
Dean.
Jasper?
Yeah.
Jasper.
Dean, yeah.
He was a extremely long, lanky boy, and I honestly I think that he's grown a little bit more into his length. Before he was a lot smaller than me one year, and then a lot larger than me the next.
True.
Just up the open sideline.
Is he the lefty too?
Yes, he is also a lefty.
I remember the first game being so pissed that y'all had a lefty, like a tall lefty guy on your D line. It just boosted up one.
I think we have like 3 lefties.
I don't know how I got that one. I thought you had that, Connor.
I had a piece of it.
Exceptional grab under pressure from the defense.
Price has really shown his consistency on this.
Okay, I do look pretty tired. Maybe I'm overestimating myself.
Making great grabs.
Hat comes off.
Starting to realize
Yeah.
how important these O points are.
Pull center to Port, as it has been nearly all game. Side stack from Supreme, but it looks like a zone from the Foggy Bottom.
Yeah, I think at this point we decided to switch up to zone just to kind of slow down the game some and eat up some clock.
Yeah.
Prevent.
Veneri on the sideline.
It did not
slow
work.
things down for maybe about 5 seconds.
Defense trying to
Yeah, Time makes a good point. We did not really throw arounds much this game. We lived off of those like wide inside windows that McKnight and Jacques just hit over and over.
I hate the look from Foggy Bottom, mixing it up, throwing in a zone junk.
Y'all had such active marks. I was shook.
Played man or person defense. The last
I think we had a particular amount of practice spent both playing like and playing offense against like actual zone. And so if we got our handlers kind of flowing, they did a pretty sound job of converting actually. But I don't think we didn't capitalize much on that in this game. It's a couple of times.
And it's hard to tell. You got to be able to keep an eye on your guys throughout, and you trust them to make the right decision and tell you if they're tired or not.
Oh, there it is
Shy
again.
guy, baby.
For a short gain.
Best pull play ever.
It's really interesting because a lot of times we just have to center it up again, but gets us going really well.
Inside break to
Yeah.
Merriman. Now McKnight.
Yeah, I think there were a couple situations where we probably set up the other 3 cuts a little too deep. And so while that rail cut got the disc without any major issues, the next cuts coming in weren't there for the continuations.
But it has not slowed the Foggy Bottom offense.
I remember being so frustrated on the points where Tony was on me that somebody wouldn't just like throw it deep.
McKnight with Edgerton on the mark goes across to Merriman.
Oh,
here it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was so bad. It was so open too. I just needed to like step into it more. Or throw a lefty. Though I did not have a lefty at that point.
That's a pretty fast one.
Yeah.
For Vanieri.
And then we all just like pointed at Tony. I was like, somebody get Tony, and nobody did.
Goes up in 2 hands. Now he's unmarked. Trying to go into a red zone set. Around break.
That was a nice break.
I remember getting busted on this point by somebody. June, I guess.
Lens resets to Rapsura.
So Connor, was y'all's end zone offense for the majority of this tournament pretty much just front of stack handler movement?
Yes, just two people back and then interacting with the third is the front. And then I forget if it was this year or not that we almost spent no time on end zone, and it was like it was something that if we weren't in a special kind of zone offense, we weren't like really honed in on.
Foggy Bottom, of course, a neighborhood in DC.
Yeah, it was mostly just we try and entrust our handlers to make something happen, and I don't think that works very well to our advantage here.
Spends a lot of time in his hands.
There's a stack spacing is crazy. Sorry.
There was a lot of stagnant kind of like we weren't really getting the actual flow of end zone offense.
I D'd Theo there, I think.
You just had a thing for Dean Wilson players this game.
Okay, the Aaron one was a bit. I didn't know he was there. Actually, I didn't know either of them were there, to be honest.
You claimed it. You said that if you hadn't touched it, he would have caught it. So
I mean, that's a little different, though, dude. It was a wild throw.
Get this break.
I think I gave the thrower the turn on the first one, and I gave you the turn on the second one.
That seems about right.
Heffron takes it.
Theo says he doesn't know if that's true, Clem. Maybe you should take away a turnover.
You had so many, it wouldn't have made a difference.
I feel like that is inaccurate.
With a chance to hold now.
You got to look at the numbers.
Yeah, dude.
McKnight has those stat sheets.
Stoppage and play away from the disc.
After he was dying in the airport and I did all the totals, I drove them over and gave them to him because he wanted to look at them.
Yeah, Theo, I think you're right. I think if just one of us had gone for it, either one of us could have gotten it, but
neither team has really shown
we just messed up.
Sophisticated or well-executed reset system, but been a little more reliant on athleticism downfield to create room for them. Shapinski showing some of his athleticism as he liberates himself in the lanes. Around break to Merriman. Gets the Foggy Bottom offense across the
I remember I was mad at McKnight here because he doesn't move at all. He just keeps pointing.
It just kind of in the way.
Yeah, that's true. But
and then a low throw back to Price for Merriman. Gets Foggy Bottom.
That's my boy Jace. Legend.
We see Seattle with really good pressure on the.
He's at Carlton, right?
Yeah, dude.
Little bit of a bailout.
He's my youngin.
But we see
The
Price
pipeline.
once again, really intelligent movement around the end zone. Attacks the exact lanes that he needs to with his legs right after letting go of the disc. Really, really impressive.
That was a crazy turnover. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
That was an oof.
By McKnight, and then
There was just a lot of those.
sliding and then depositing the disc.
I think that was most of the turnover. Like, how many times have we actually
Always the chess match.
D'd like out of the turnovers? It's not a lot.
That's true. They're mostly just drops and bad throws.
Yeah.
Does look like they have a zone out there.
Looks a little junky on the handlers with person defense downfield.
A little hybrid junk here.
We threw Jordy on a D-line here. That's a little unusual.
Now transitioning to match. Ryan free on the open side.
Yeah, I think we were.
Into the end zone and
That one didn't work out.
Gabe Port.
I think we're going for somewhat fresher legs, but still within just a certain number of players.
True.
Now ahead to McKnight to get things started.
Another shy. Oh, shy guy didn't work.
Nowhere to go upfield yet for the Foggy Bottom boys, so they reset Johnson and McKnight.
Being the shy guy was probably my favorite thing. Like in all of our plays.
This is
deep, and the Foggy Bottom boys have never looked off one of those. Hanging for
Harry almost has a crazy vid.
Yeah, he's so quick. I mean, he has his hand on that one.
Yeah.
Great defensive pressure from Seattle.
We get broken here.
Yes, sir.
Just a little bit too much.
Yeah, this is. I think this is the one where I end up on 43 somehow.
Oh, you end up on Kai, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like backing him, and he just runs deep anyway. And I'm like, oh, all right.
I think you looked at me after this point when he just goes deep, and you're just kind of like what do I do? And I just kind of shrugged, like I don't know what to tell you, man.
That was a really nice throw too. Dang.
Yeah, that was a dime.
That was. We had the Supreme on our sleeve.
Back in front, 11-10.
Yeah, that's what did it.
Throw from Jasper Dean.
Totally.
He wasn't wearing that. I probably don't get beat deep there.
So Connor, what is the rolling around? What is that?
That was just if we broke, it was just like a way to keep it rolling. Like, because I mean, almost a lot of our other like beginning games, we literally would just keep like a break train, like try to keep the breaks coming. Essentially, like that was our goal. So I think it came out of that, and it definitely started in like practice at some point. Yeah, that's lived on through a couple other teams too. That's not even a Supreme exclusive.
A lot of the Foggy Bottom boys cutters.
I'd like to point out that around this time we get the crowd to start chanting "Wet Bowers," in reference to Nick Bowers, a star handler on this team, who is just too wet.
I think it was the point after this that was peak Wet Bowers.
Yeah, dude.
You gotta let the people know.
Another inside flick turn, boom.
Well, I think I did a face plant into your back.
Like, yeah, I probably that's it's not wrong. I remember like stepping weirdly over you or something.
I was just on the ground like behind you.
I also just could have thrown a backhand because I just expected you to be setting a mark, and I like did not realize you were on the ground until I threw it.
Nope, just totally like was about to bid, and then you like stepped and put your body totally in front of exactly where I was going. I was like, nope. Okay, this. What was this? I can't even. What is this?
This is June making a bit of a questionable call, if I'm being honest here.
Can we see the replay?
Yep, it's right here.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I don't think.
Oh, that's a little too laggy to like actually
Yeah.
tell for me.
On the reenactment.
Oh,
I don't
The
quite have
reenactment.
enough information to form an opinion of my own yet.
AJ says down.
Both teams doing a great job of playing their defense.
There you have it.
We see the tough
Yep,
reset
official ruler.
from DC.
Man, I don't know. It's
I think his body
Oh,
is in
wait,
front of it too, but
Theo says there's a second replay coming when it slows it down. Yep.
See if we can tell from here.
Oh, that's down.
Oh.
Replay.
That's okay though.
On that one.
I'm okay with how things worked
Those
out.
plays are so fast though. They're so bang bang in real life. You feel like close around the disc. You don't really
yeah, that does look down.
one way or the other.
August asks if Nick Bowers is the biggest what if in Ultimate, wins YCCs and walks away on top.
Say disc doesn't lie.
One of my least.
I'd say it's just like Jordan retiring after the first three-peat
Ape from basketball
and the second three-peat.
Yeah, I mean, does he really want to play for Lehigh and just rub away this memory? Probably not.
Missed by Supreme. Miss it underneath. Call away from the play.
I don't know if there's any Lehigh apologists in the chat.
Ben Dixon might be watching this heated.
Is Ben playing for Lehigh now?
Yeah, dude. Apparently he's like their star handler.
Checking in. Max Furlong on the mark. Price.
June did a little Naruto run there for a second.
Yeah, he was winding up.
Yep.
Just relying on their cutters to get open on the open side, just like that is McKnight.
That's a battle, dude, of opposite body types.
Yes.
Smart throw from McKnight.
Really opening up.
It's a great find by McKnight to get us to the other side.
That was a crazy look.
Hot to handle.
Yeah, no, McKnight hitting that inside all game was just so huge for us because, like, we were not breaking the mark around,
Well, we've seen them
or
score
not
on the
enough
break
at
side,
least.
But if they don't score on the break side, moving it and attacking with their legs to the force side, not necessarily creating throws on the force side. A lot of those have been turnovers.
Bit of a stagnant initiation for Supreme, but they do find a reset in the middle of the field, and they don't like what they see downfield, so a timeout seemed refined. Trying to get turnovers through increasing the volume of throws. The opponent needs to.
So Connor, was there anything in particular about that timeout that you guys talked about prior to coming in on it, like mentality-wise?
Not that I can remember. I have very little. I think it was probably to set up just what our play was going to be and how we were going to set up if it was a turn. I don't like. I don't remember anything. I don't even know if I was on this point. I haven't seen myself.
Dude, unfortunately, that you just threw that throw.
Oh fuck! Excuse my language. Did I?
Yeah, dude, you toasted me on like a really weird inside angle right here. And then you throw it too deep to June. That's number 6.
June. Yes, this is another one. That's tragic. That is tragic.
Marcelo, if you need a juicier question, ask one.
Right?
Oh, PK's in the chat, legend.
PK hopping on it.
Just beyond the reach of the target.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity for Seattle. You put just a little more touch on that throw. 12-10.
Soft cap is on.
Game, but
I really thought we lost after that timeout, or we were about to lose. Things were looking rough.
So full 70 for Foggy Bottom.
Yeah, if I hadn't turned that one over.
Missing underneath, followed by Rosenthal.
I thought about throwing that.
Yeah.
Up line for McKnight.
There's that back shoulder all day.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Oh, I flick. I make my money off that.
And also one of the few
there's another one.
getting the disc off the line and across the field. for this Foggy Bottom side. Mascalone.
Owen backhandling might have been one of the scariest moments of my life.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, we were kind of stuck here with nobody for a second or two.
Owen says he had him beat. That was a nice throw by Jacques.
Defenders caught
I was so tired, actually. That's true.
Yeah, he just floated that shit.
For Seattle and Foggy Bottom holds.
Huge hold. And you notice, like we talked about earlier, attacking the.
I remember I went off after this point, like really tired, and like Rowan grabs me. He's like, "You look big, you look strong," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Rowan."
You notice that their vert stack, not sure if it's on purpose, but it's very far away to leave a lot of space for McKnight to throw that huge inside flick that really started all of it.
This is the Wet Bowers plant. I think it
Wet
is.
Bowers, baby.
So, soft cap now on. So it'll be a game to 13. We are coming down to the final moments of this one with a tie ball game, 11-11.
Clem, what was going through your mind coaching this D point? Like, was there anything specific, or is it just kind of like we're going to come down and play hard person?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ty could actually probably speak better to that. So I was just calling the line, and we had kept it limited, obviously, for most of the game. So calling the line wasn't too hard. I just wanted to make sure we had enough size on there. But yeah, it looks like Ty's calling matchups here. I honestly, I was until uni, like after that, walking away from that timeout after we talked to you guys on the line, and I looked across at all the fans. Like that's the most anxious I've ever felt in my life.
Oh yeah, that's Marcelo getting the Wet Bowers chant going. Let's go.
That's so interesting because coming out of our timeout, I was just like not anxious at all. Like I just didn't really feel.
I felt pretty good now that it was back even, and we were going downwind.
I think that final timeout. I mean, the difference between
I thought I had that.
Difference between being on the field and playing, and just turning around and actually looking at the entire sideline and seeing that many people watching. I'd never been in a situation like that before. So
that was crazy turnover.
Yeah, this is just another one of the like we had a slew of these.
McKnight checks it in and goes to the open side for Nissen. Into the end zone for Price to Merriman. Foggy Bottom breaks. DC's on top.
Garrett, at this point, did you think we had a shot at winning on this next point, or were you totally mentally prepared for uni? Because I just did not see a way this game wasn't going to uni.
Oh, yeah, I think – well, I mean, especially – I don't know if – did you play this point, this next one?
I did. I played the next point.
Okay, because I was – I mean, I didn't, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go to universe.
Yeah, I just was like – I was very prepared for that.
Going into this point, or like during this point, the coaches had actually decided that we were going to call a timeout after this point, and with the full preparation that it was going to uni, and we were going to call a timeout after this point as well, regardless of the result. Well, I mean, if we won, we won, but when Seattle scores, we knew we were.
AJ just gets cooked. He comes down on the pole running so hard, and Connor's just running in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I toasted him there a little bit. I saw him coming, and this was already like set up for like ISO, and I was like, okay, we're going the opposite direction.
He was conserving for universe.
Great offensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben, to keep the answer more, to keep it simpler, we were preparing for universe regardless.
Yeah, I very much, like, I don't know, it felt like after we blew our halftime lead that this game was going to go to universe.
As much as they wanted,
just because of how back and forth it was.
It almost felt like, okay, we're going to hold.
AJ said he was specifically told that Connor wouldn't be the ISO.
And as a fan of
Ty, do you have anything to say?
Ask for a better situation than Universe Point in the U20.
Yeah, I think that Ty might be responsible for that one.
Prepare for double game point. Whoever scores this one.
Clem, you remember what you said at all in this huddle?
Champion. TJ.
Something along the lines of
What does this huddle look like when you're
so proud of you, yada yada, all that crap I would say pretty much after every game leading up to this point.
Think about the things that are successful. You mentioned those,
And then
you
also
mentioned the
just that
guys
it was your
you
time and
may
just
have
breathe.
maybe one
True. I remember you turned it over to the
line,
captains with like a fair
for
amount of
defensive
time
purposes
left,
if
and
you
I
get
just
it
start
third,
like
but
yelling or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
what to say.
I didn't. There wasn't anything we
Seattle,
could say
that's the
in
one
that
thing.
moment
Who
that
you
would have
bring
made a
over,
difference for the
use your
whole game.
7,
So it was kind of
play
one of those
run,
just breathe and
you
then,
trust
boys, this is
your
for you.
normal
Say what you
portion
want to say.
defense. As a coach, it's really hard because you want the players to go out and decide the game.
What about y'all, Connor?
Coach at times.
Something along those lines of like we just gotta do it.
For me, it's just about making sure that the team knows
I
we trust them.
I think for some reason this game was like it just never got to investment level from our entire team that we had like we peaked in the tournament playing Triforce is what I would say. And even here it just didn't feel like the intensity was like I don't think any of us were like bringing our actual like A game and just as like energy wise it was kind of lackluster at that point.
That could be.
That's kind of interesting you say that because I feel like most people on Foggy would agree that we peaked against ATLians in the semis as well.
Yeah.
Like this game was not that well played. Like it had some pretty crazy moments, but it was just so many turnovers and drops.
Yeah.
Both teams have been pretty charged up all game. Got to think tensions and emotions are at their highest right now.
Yeah, Garrett, that clip of you actually taking a deep breath on the line before this poll goes up might be one of my favorites of just like, because that whole tournament, the whole mentality was just breathe.
Yeah.
And when I do the whole like basically orchestrating the deep breath, it shows you doing it. It was, I had a good chuckle with that one.
I feel like you guys get a pretty good chance at a stop, pretty close to the end zone. I think.
Right here, McKnight or Harry clears out, and then McKnight gets left alone. Or this is
he's
Harry.
stuck.
Yeah, and then we got
I think it's this
McKnight.
one.
McKnight gets lost on the next one. It bounces back to him.
One of the only players in the team who's shown.
And I remember Harry clears out, I come down, and McKnight just like does not look at me at all. And I'm like, dude, just throw a reset. And he's like, nah, I'm just gonna go win the game.
He throws the inside break once more.
Connor, you almost get there too, dude.
Yeah, he was sitting under. I was just waiting to see if someone else was gonna. There was gonna be like one more reset before that happened.
I thought there was gonna be one more reset. So.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting. McKnight, like after the game, Fred, if we could rewind to McKnight throwing that inside.
The Foggy vision, I break once to get that throw off.
He told me after the game that he was actually throwing it to me, not AJ.
Sure, it looks like both would have worked.
Yeah,
actually, AJ one looks closer.
So he's definitely closer to the disc, and I think he had a better angle to throw that continuation.
That's interesting because he told me, "Oh yeah, no, I saw AJ the whole time."
Really?
Maybe that's because I questioned the throw, and so he found a reason that it was actually going to work the whole time. But
I'm on that ground crying, and AJ just starts like punching me, and I love it.
I couldn't move from the sideline after you guys scored. I just basically just like sat on the ground by the sideline. I couldn't walk.
Trapped a little bit on that sideline. Seattle with incredible handler pressure. But McKnight,
AJ, he lied to you, Clem.
Being able to throw to the other side of the field with that inside flick.
Shouts my future roommate and teammate for being in the victory tunnel before I even met him in this here. So that's pretty cool. Noah Hansen, he's just uncut.
Couldn't have asked for a better situation as a fan, and congrats to Foggy Bottom.
Good high fives, dude.
He recorded
the
just
best.
a single assist in this game.
Yeah, dude.
Goals, but that just goes to show you how goals and assists.
I remember at Worlds Camp, June was like, I know if we play this game 10 more times, we win 9 of them. And I was like, okay.
And was really the heart of
gotta
this
love
team's
June.
success today.
That was funny.
So congratulations to the DC Foggy Bottom.
Yeah, he's the
boys
dude
getting
in the
Club
Minnesota
championships
shirt, number
in the
2, with the
under 20
bleach hair.
division. 13-12
AJ
over
says,
Seattle
"Ask me
Supreme.
anything, Fred."
Great upset, and I'm sure
AJ, when you
DC
dropping your
area
next
is going to
album?
be extremely excited for their
That's what the people
these
want to
young
know.
men to have represented their community so well here at the Youth Club Championships. That's going to do it for this tournament here and for Ultiworld's live
All right.
coverage of the
Apparently, AJ's not going to tell us.
YCC and YCC
It's different, baby.
Silent.
Under wraps.
final in this one, 13-12.
People want it.
DC Foggy
Been
Bottom
waiting.
Boys take the title over Seattle.
Have they?
All of our staff at
I don't. I don't know.
Want to shout out Aiden Shapiro,
Oh,
Aiden
August.
Souter, Becky Thompson, Daniel
Just
Prentice,
dropped,
Ben
though,
Fang, Zach
on
Major,
Apple
Dan
Music and
Young, Chloe
Spotify.
Enders,
Oh, real?
and of course,
Yeah,
the
dude.
one and only Charlie
Nice.
Eisenhood.
I don't know what that says about us as fans that we
Thank
didn't
you
know
for
that.
joining us, fans. We couldn't do it without you.
You're
If you want to
slacking.
get more from us, check out ultiworld.com/subscribe to find out how you can
I was
support
glad
us.
we did a Spirit
Coverage.
Circle. Normally I hate Spirit Circles, but
This
I
is
feel like it
Ultiworld
was
signing off. We will see
I
you
don't know, because
next
they feel
time.
kind of contrived, but I felt good about this one. I don't know. It was intense.
Well, I mean, I think because playing a team twice in a tournament and having, despite us saying that neither team played a particularly good game, like it was still a good, intense game in that regard. So I think it was,
Yeah.
Connor, did y'all want to do a Spirit Circle, or are you just like, let me get out of here?
I'm pretty much always game for a Spirit Circle. There's not a lot that gets me super like I would not want to be talking with this team after we've played, like and I think in that game especially there was not like even like maybe one controversial call, like, and that was not through anyone's fault, I don't think. So it was a nice clean game as far as that went. So I was appreciative that we got to just discuss it a little bit more afterwards with you.
Yeah, that was nice. Clem, we got some post-game questions for you.
Yeah,
We
I'm
got
not
one.
walking through the next 24 hours.
No, I was talking about August one.
Yeah. So, I guess 2 years removed now, right? Pretty much. So the night before, Cody, Ty, and I sat down and we kind of talked through what our game plan was going to be for the semis and the finals. And there were 5 or 6 players who we told that they were not going to see the field much, if at all, during those games. It was not an easy decision to make, but we made it. In hindsight, while it did work out, I probably wouldn't. I know I wouldn't do it again. That decision has become the foundation for our new policy, where every player, so long as they're healthy, will play at least 1 point every game of the tournament they go to. But we pulled those 5-6 players aside before the semis, like during warm-ups, to let them know that was going to happen, so they weren't blindsided by just not playing a game.
True.
Ty's question, I think definitely for y'all, because I didn't even know about Frisbee until I got to college. How does the intensity level of playing at YCC semis and finals compare to college?
College is meaner, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, people are friendly at YCCs for the most part. Like, I don't know, even like a lot of the guys we played in the AT Aliens game, I played at Smoky Mountain this season because they're all on Georgia now. And like we talked about that game and it was like nice and friendly. But I feel like your average college game, there are just some dudes who are heated on the field and ready to like get mad about things. I don't know. That's been my experience at least.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like maybe this says more about my college team in terms of intensity, but like the only time I felt a game as intense as this in college was the like backdoor bracket semis at regionals last year, which was like pretty much the same atmosphere, except like I think people are, like Ben said, meaner, and like people back you a lot more. Which, like, I don't know if that reflects intensity or not, but
Good. I would say that just like what little I've actually played on the field in like tournament wise, I've gone to a lot, but it is definitely more like athletically and physically intense. And then it just kind of has depended on what team we're actually playing as far as the just like, I think, chippiness or just like people wanting to get just kind of looking for reasons to get heated about something wise. And I think that has to do a lot with just like either very specific players on each team. Like you'll know that they're the one to like not bait in any way or not like don't give them a reason to. And it just also can be like team culture. And certain teams I have
That's
noticed
true.
are a lot more like we're in it to win it entirely and kind of at any cost.
True.
But there's definitely the same spirit in Ultimate. I don't think that went anywhere.
That's true. There's still like the vast majority of people are just like out there having fun. I just feel like the willingness to get like uber macho and angry is a lot more there.
Definitely. I would agree with that.
Also, because like most of Youth Ultimate, you know people. Like,
oh, totally.
I don't know. Like I played Garrett like 6 times a year for all of high school.
Just going back to the rostering point real quick, Ty brings up a good point that I kind of forgot about, that we actually had him speak to those kids that we weren't going to be playing during the semis and the finals, because he went through the same thing with Harvard. And being able to have that connection definitely helped in the explaining, I think. Doesn't make it any easier for those players, but
Sure.
Yeah.
August asks about how this team was a lot less Arlington heavy than past years at Foggy, and what it was like meeting people for like the first or like second or third time at like the first Foggy practice. I think it was exciting just because like, I don't know, drawing talent from a larger field is always going to be good. I like knew AJ some. The Wilson kids, obviously, like everybody had a lot of respect for them because that was kind of the year they arrived. Like they made it to states finals of a state they're not in. But that's besides the point. And like they were all legit, and it was just super exciting to like, I don't know Aaron, but then he shows up to our first tournament and he's like just ridiculously fast and bouncy. So that was exciting. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like it was really cool to like get to play with guys I was playing against and I didn't really know as well because I hadn't been playing against them for 4 years. Like I had guys from HB and Yorktown. And it was also dope because like a lot of them just like hadn't played YCCs before and then are like starting and playing a ton of points in our semis and finals. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, those guys like Theo, Ron, AJ. Trying to think of any of the others. But yeah. Actually just got a text from one of those players who didn't play in the semis and the finals, is Sasha, and he says shout out to the kids who didn't get to play.
I did. Shout out Sam Markowitz, legend. Yeah, Theo, I feel that. You always guarded me pretty well. You were a physical dude, a lot stronger than me. And I remember you would bump me and stuff, and I would be annoyed by that. You just said some stuff. I will say, dude, you were dodging the matchup at Florida warm-up. Next year, dude.
So
Calling him out.
So Connor, how was the similar to what we just talked about for Foggy and Arlington versus the rest of the DC area? How was the breakout for you guys in Seattle? Like, do you guys all know each other pretty well between all the teams, or how'd that go?
As far as like the whole like in larger like Seattle area playing Ultimate, the community, especially once you like aren't just playing for your high school, if you engage in any other activity, almost everybody like knows each other. So I think there's a lot like maybe 2 kids on that team didn't previously literally know all of the other kids from either playing against them in high school or in a previous YCC, and playing with them, or on like the Seven Hills club team or something like that. So there was definitely a ton of overlap as far as actual like player just friendliness, and like there's not like everyone knows each other in at least a competitive sense and in like a good way.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty envious of the whole like just Seattle getting to do like league play constantly in youth. Like that's sick. I wish that was more feasible other places.
Well, so it's actually something that last year we started trying to work towards with all the DMV teams. The biggest issue with these past 2 years, well, obviously this year, COVID, but the biggest issue last year was the calendar. It just didn't fit well with where spring break was for everybody, plus the tournament weekends. And so scheduling those, it was brutal. Like we had games on the night of Mother's Day. We had games, one of the weekends of spring break. So, I mean, like no one ever really had their full rosters for a lot of those games. And sometimes even the coaches couldn't go to a game. So it was kind of the players on their own. So it didn't create the most competitive environment. I think we're trying to work more towards that, but.
True. Shout out the APS Fall League.
Yeah.
Yorktown never lost, baby.
WNL champs of 2019. We're definitely spoiled when it comes to like you're saying, the league and just like the high school season and the club. Like there's also always tournaments that we can pretty easily travel to that are just like the club team for high school just participated in like college hat tournaments that were going on because those are always happening around too. So it was definitely an ideal place to be all playing together in the same community and have like a YCC team. That's kind of the dream, I think, when it comes to that.
Clem August says, you've coached Foggy every year and every year it's been around. Was there anything about 2018 that stood out as like special?
Yeah, so I definitely think there was. I mean, if you look back to the first year of Foggy, which was 2016, y'all were just so young, right? I mean, like we returned players year after year. Because, I mean, you guys had Dead Rise, and then pretty much everyone aside from 2 players could return from that Dead Rise squad. And then, so 2016, super young team. I thought we could have done better in 2017. I mean, running up against that Triforce team in the quarterfinals didn't help any, but I thought we had the talent to make the semis at the very least. I fell a little bit short. But there was something about that 2018 team, as I watched the season progress, and then stonewalled where we were in the rain together for 12 hours straight at the tournament for the warm-up tournament we had, and just watching y'all bond, and it was the culmination of all those kids that were on that first Foggy team for basically one more run, aside from like McKnight, who could come back for another year.
And Jacques and Aaron.
Jacques wasn't on those first 2 iterations of Foggy, and that was
Aaron.
Aaron.
I was saying, well, McKnight wasn't either.
McKnight was on the first year. McKnight didn't play the second year because he went to
Yeah,
Swindon.
dude. Nothing. No, that's what I was saying.
But yeah, so yes, there was something about that 2018 team that it just felt like it was the year that if we were going to do it, that was the year. And we did. I
texted you like the week before YCC. I was like, dude, I think we're gonna win, or I think we can win, or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe, dude.
And someone asked me someone asked me after the finals, they were like, did you, and it was one of the guys on the team, and they were like, did you think we could actually pull this off? And I went, yeah. And then you weren't supposed to say yes. Like, you were supposed to be surprised. I was like, well, like, why wouldn't I believe in my own blood? Like,
Sure.
August followed up with, how much does 2017 Foggy win against 2018 Foggy?
Yeah, that's a great question.
-3 or 4, dude.
Yeah, I don't think 2017 beats 2018 Foggy, because it just the team was not as meshed as it was in 2018. It was a lot of individual play that either went awry or in the moment was good, but didn't necessarily contribute overall to the final result.
Yeah, I think it depends what like 2017 Foggy we're talking about. Are we talking about the team that showed up to the tournament, or the team that like should have showed up to the tournament? You know?
Yeah. On paper, sure, 2017 might win by 2-3, but actual tournament results, the 2018 team was better.
Theo asks if it's weird to be a reigning champion 2 years later.
Actually, I think Jordy put that in the group chat a few weeks back about still being the reigning champions. I had a good chuckle about that. I won't speak any further about it. But to Nathan Parker, who asked if YCCs has been canceled yet, the answer is, as of right now, it has not been canceled. WAFC has retracted rescinded its bids to YCC for the 2020 cycle. So if they reschedule Foggy Bottom Boys and Rogue, Swing Vote, Cap Heights, and Force will not be going to YCCs in 2020. But the tournament has not been canceled as yet. It's postponed indefinitely, with an announcement coming out on Friday from USAU as to how they're going to move forward.
Okay, so Theo asks, what are your thoughts on changing the format of national tournaments to have finals at night instead of the semis, or both on consecutive nights?
Night games are sick.
Night games are sick. I don't like it for youth, though. The momentum matters too much from semis into finals.
True.
Connor, what are your thoughts on that?
I can kind of agree with that. I think that's probably one of the, like, I'm not sure in the youth how much like collecting yourself and like just that whole like having the mental space to think about it for an extended period of time would be a thing. So I'm for it just going straight in. I think that momentum, yes, is important.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting question. Like, do we think we play as well in the final against Seattle if we don't have that really good game against Atlanta, and then play 2-3 hours later?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we didn't have kind of the head cases we had on the team the year before, where like we kept coming out of those lightning breaks and our play just got worse and worse against Triforce. But I mean, I think a full day for youth, that's more time to actually get into your own head than to set your own mindset correctly.
Yes.
I will say, like, I don't think mental toughness was an issue on that Foggy team at all.
What, the 2018?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like we were all pretty cool. Like, even when we were down to Seattle pretty late in the game, I felt reasonably comfortable about, I don't know, I trusted everybody on that team to deal with the moment. Which was huge, Theo. That sandwich place we went to in between semis and finals.
There is now a Which in Arlington, by the way.
Yeah, it's in Boston, right?
Yep. But yeah, I think, Ben, I think that's a good point about just the everybody on that team trusted each other, and like the coaches kept harping the entire tournament, just play your game. We gave you a system, play it, and then once you catch that disc, just breathe. Just breathe and find that next pass, and everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Theo coming up with all the hard questions here. Oh, August. We have a request, or Garrett, we have a request from August. You and Ben.
There it is.
So, August, I don't know if you knew, but we were at Noodles and Company after the quarters, I think it was. And Ben, Garrett, and I think it was it Harry that was with you guys as part of that?
Yeah, it was Harry.
You guys turned around and asked me in line. They turned around and asked me in line. They were like, "Hey, Clem, so if we win, will you get a tattoo with us of the DC flag with the Foggy colors?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, why not?" I'm petrified of needles, and so I was just like, "Yeah, sure," because that might have been the one moment where I was like, "We're not going to win this. They're already thinking about tattoos. We're not going to win this." And then we won, and I get a text from Garrett maybe like a week or so later, whenever you guys got it. And you're like,
it was not even a week, dude. It was like 2 days after getting back.
Yeah, it was like 2 days after we got off the plane.
Well, yeah, and so they told me they got the tattoos, and I was so relieved that they didn't tell me they were going, because I promised them that I would get one with them. But
I feel like you promised you would get a tattoo. Like, I don't know. I feel like you still owe us a tattoo. Personally.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, let's ask the audience. What do you think, fellas?
There was a 1 year expiration date.
It was not. He was like, "Hey, Clem, will you get a tattoo if we win? As long as we don't like force you to get it within the first year." You think that's how he approached the topic? Yeah, Theo says he agrees with me, dude.
Theo also wants me to explain the onion rings. Yeah, no. One biting is not something I will encourage publicly, so I will not explain the onion rings any further. AJ just said we're still the reigning champ, so he'll drive me to go get a tattoo.
Seems like you've got some post-lockdown plans made.
I don't know who Nathan Parker is very well, or actually, I don't know if I've met him, but I don't like him right now.
Next WAFC live stream is Clem getting a tat. All right. Nathan Parker says, "Damn." Yeah. Well, that was fun. I like that.
Yeah, it was a good time. Connor, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah,
absolutely. Dude. This was great.
Good to catch up with you, dude.
Yeah, it's nice to see you.